All right. Welcome everybody on Zoom. So glad to have you here for the Financial Church. Have a special three-part series that we are beginning today called Unsecure the Baggage, how to forgive ourselves and forgive ourselves for the debt that we may have created. I recognize that money is emotional and emotions cause us to spend money in certain ways. And when we spend money in certain ways, it leads to new emotions, usually negative emotions, when we spend money in the wrong way or we use money in the incorrect way. So I got this divine download that I wanted to share with you all today, and we'll be going deeper and deeper into it over the next month. So thank you again for being here. Again, if you are joining us on Instagram, you want to go to juliangordon.com/TFC. That stands for The Financial Church. And we're going to get started here in just a second. In chat on Zoom, please let me know, or on Instagram, let me know if you are new, type new. If you are a vet, type vet. Let me know who's here today. All right, we got a lot of vets, got some new folks. A lot of new folks. Good. Normally, we have been just growing this particular space via just natural reach, law of attraction. And today I decided that it was time, especially with this message, that it was time to actually share the message a little bit more broadly. So I invited a lot of people who have been connected to me through the multifamily movement, through 40 Days of Freedom, through the Black Business School, through the Freedom School, and other things, the Year of Freedom. In order to be a part of this space, because I recognize, as I've been seeking to help people move from poverty consciousness to wealth consciousness, that one of the major blockages has been this emotional baggage around debt. And so I wanted this message to reach as many people as possible. And so I'm glad that you are here today. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. One second. Share my screen. We're going to get started with today's message. And come in 1 second, y'all. 1 second. All right. What's today? Today is the 20th. So today is the 20th, and I'm, hold on. Little technical snafu. Give me a second. 9:20. Okay, I'm sharing it now. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Again, welcome to all those who are on Instagram. Welcome to all my vets who come on a weekly basis. Glad to have you here. I am sharing my screen in just a second. Having a little issue over here, but I will have it resolved in 2 seconds. All right. All right, cool. All right, cool. So boom, boom, share screen. All right, cool. So please let me know that you can see my screen. Please confirm that you can see my screen. You can see it? All right, beautiful. Well, we are good to go. So welcome to the Financial Church. My name is Julian Gordon, and I am the leading preacher at this church. We call it preaching here because it is a combination of teaching and preaching. We don't just want to leave you on a spiritual high all the way up in heaven without giving you actually tangible tools that you can use here on earth. We are starting a three-part series called...
Gordon here. I hope you're well, and just want to share my journey in terms of how I achieved freedom by the age of 40.
1 second, y'all.
But I think that's a good target for absolutely anyone, no matter where you started in life. Honestly.
Okay, cool. There we go. Excuse that. That was in the background. All right, cool. So let me start that over. So Welcome everybody to the Financial Church. My name is Julian Gordon, and I am the, head preacher here. We call these teachings because they're a combination of teaching and preaching. We don't just want to leave you on a spiritual high that has you in heaven, but gives you no practical teachings that you can use here on earth. We believe that we are meant to bring heaven on earth, and that is part of the work that we're discussing here today. We are starting a 3-part series called Unsecure the Baggage, how to release financial shame and forgive yourself for debt. I'm so excited about this teaching. It was a divine download that I got over the past week. I originally thought I was just going to have one particular teaching on it, but it kept on expanding into a 3-part series that we're going to do between now and the middle of October. So I'm glad that you were able to catch this and be here for it. And we're going to kick it off. Now, for those of you who are new, and those of you who are new, I want to introduce you to what financial spirituality is really all about. The way I define financial spirituality, it is the practice of mastering manifestation and money, which we define as stored energy, by learning how God creates and using the power of your mind, words, thoughts, feelings, imagination. Some people call it imagination. We call it imagination, prayers and works to bring heaven, which is the mind, okay, up here on earth, which is our material experience, so that you may have life and have it more abundantly. We are fully aware that we are always manifesting already. And the question is, am I creating deliberately? Am I creating the experience of life that I desire? We are all already manifesting. You have 100% manifested the life that you are experiencing right here and right now. And all we have to do is say, am I deliberately creating? Have I deliberately created this life? Was I intentional about it? If not, we just want to become more deliberate creators so that we can have more of the experience that we actually desire. Here, we do not blame, we do not point the finger at anyone else besides ourselves. We take full responsibility for the life that we are experiencing right here and right now. Yes, there may be outside forces that you may feel are deterring you from actually experiencing life as you would have it. But whenever you blame, you are giving power to that outside force and therefore asking or demanding that in order for you to have the life that you desire, that outside entity must change. My mom must change. My dad must change. My significant other must change. My employer must change. My God must change. My president must change. Right? And we do not wait for other people here in this space. We do not wait for other people to change. It's hard enough to change ourselves. And here, many people in this earthly experience are waiting for other people to change or other institutions to change in order for them to have heaven here on earth. We don't do that here. Now, again, we are not negating the fact that there might be external forces that are trying to prevent you from having the life that you truly desire. But to the extent that we blame, we are actually giving up our power. And here we retain 100% of our power. Okay. Now, what is money? What is money, right? Money, as we define it here, is just stored energy. That's it. It's just stored energy. Okay. It's literally what most people define it as is a worthless piece of paper. Okay, we define it as stored energy, and it is useless until you use it. We are meant to multiply it. We, as good stewards of that money, our job is to transmute it into ideas, individuals, and institutions we believe are doing good or God's work, and that we must be mindful not to let money ever become our God. Okay. Subconsciously, they put "in God we trust" on money as if money is God. And as a result, many people have accepted money as their God and now work primarily for money. We do not operate at that level here. We know that money is a great servant, but a terrible master. And so we stand in our power. You've seen it. You may have experienced it in your own life, is that this is the problem with materialism here. Though we call it financial church, this is the problem with materialism. And this is, I found this online and it said, "I'm a piece of paper and I control your entire life." There's no way that we will allow a piece of paper to control our entire life. When we externalize our identity, right? When we externalize our identity, this is what tends to happen. But actually, you matter, not the stuff you have. You matter more than the materials that you have. And so we want to be very clear on what role money plays in our life and how we are meant to use it in our life. Some people say that my audio isn't working too well. My audio okay, y'all? Oh, there are 2 meetings being presented. Okay, most people are saying yes, they hear me perfectly fine. All right, great, thank you. All right. So, how do we use money in this space, and how do we teach it being used? We look at it as something to be circulated, right? We say, "In God I trust," right? We release the money that we have, okay? And then once it returns to us, we say, "In God I trusted." So I say, I look at the money, I read it as an affirmation. In God I trust. I release it into ideals, ideas, individuals, institutions I believe in. And then when it returns back to me, right, meaning that it has fully circulated, then I say, "In God I trusted," and I continue that process over and over and over again. We define this as our internal rate of return. How quickly money comes back to us when we release it is a representation of our internal rate of return. Okay. Now, here in this particular teaching, I believe that the Bible is the richest book ever. It has stood the test of time, and I have a very biblical approach to how I teach financial spirituality, but you do not have to be Christian to benefit from these teachings. What I'm able to do is extract the universal laws and principles that are actually in the allegories and the parables that are in the Bible and bring them to the surface so that everyone can use them, okay? Just like gravity, it is a law that is present, whether you're aware of it or not, and the more clear you are about what it is and how to use it to your advantage, then the more power you have. For instance, a dam, a river, a dam of water actually uses gravity to its advantage because the creator of the dam was aware of the power of this particular law. Okay, the laws are actually agnostic. Laws aren't connected to any religion or belief system. They just are. And so to the extent that we understand how manifestation in the universe actually operates, how God operates, that's the greater extent that we can use to leverage those particular laws. Now, we also believe that Jesus is the richest man, or I don't even like to put gender on it. Jesus is the richest being to ever walk the face of the earth. Now, of course, Jesus didn't have to have material goods to demonstrate that. He was tempted to be able to have the kingdoms by the tempter. Okay, didn't say the devil, said the tempter, and that tempter is actually within ourselves. But Jesus didn't even have to have material goods to demonstrate his wealth consciousness because he could manifest on demand. When I can manifest 5,000 loaves and multiply fishes on demand, I do not need to actually carry around material wealth with me. My wealth comes from within because I know whose I am and who I am. And I know that as the son of the Father, as a child of God, okay, as a child of God, all of us, men and women, that we are connected to the longest line of credit that is there. We are connected in the offspring of the most infinite source of supply. And so we stand in that awareness, and that is where our true wealth comes from, not the material goods that are in our possession or that we are seeking to control. Now, again, here I am not seeking to push my beliefs on you or persuade you in any way. All I'm doing in this particular space is sharing with you how I've created and manifested at the level that I'm manifested at thus far in my life. And I have levels to go. Okay. I have many levels to go, but I'm doing really, really well. And so all I'm doing is sharing what has worked for me with you in hopes that it blesses you and that you can take one or two things that has worked for me and implement it into your life. So some of my core beliefs include I believe that as a child of God, I have access to everything that is in God's will for me to have, and I will receive it when I'm ready. I seek first the kingdom of God, knowing that all the things I need will be added unto me. I don't work for money, I work for God first. I'm about my mother and father's business, and when I am, I will have life and have it more abundantly. I believe that I'm here to manifest the divine ideas planted in the heaven of my mind on earth, which is my material experience. And I believe that there is more than enough, that I have more than enough, and that I am more than enough, for God is the infinite source of my supply. Okay, so these are some of my core beliefs that have allowed me to manifest at the level that I'm manifesting at right now, and I hope that you can try them out for yourselves. All right, I hope that you can try them out for yourselves and see if they work, and that's what some of these teachings are really all about. Okay, so here we know that we are actually not the ones breathing, that we are actually vehicles or vessels that are being breathed through. Genesis 2:7 says, then the Lord God formed a mankind, okay, from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. So most of us don't worry about our breath. We don't think about our breath every single day because we are being breathed through, just like an instrument, just like a trumpet or a clarinet or a flute. Those things are breathe through, and out of them comes a sweet, sweet song when the pipes are actually clear. And in the same way, we are being breathed through. Most of us cannot stop our breath, even if we desire to, with the exception of suicide. Right. So this is, we want to tap into that awareness. And this is obviously this higher thing. Okay. Not a thing that's outside of ourselves, but this higher consciousness is breathing through us. And in order to tap into that and get in alignment with that consciousness, we actually, or what some people call God, we actually, all we have to do is connect with our breath. So what we do here is we take a 30-second period to connect with that. I will lead you all through 3 10-second breaths. But if you have a stronger way of connecting to God, just like you plug in your cell phone, if you have a stronger way of connecting with God and charging up and getting in line, then go ahead and do that for this 30 seconds. For those who want to follow along, I will be leading us through a breathing exercise. All right. So what we'll do is 4 seconds in, hold for 1 second, and then release for 5 seconds. What we name that here, we're very particular with our language in the financial church, which is we in heaven and we exhale. We in heaven, we bring heaven into our experience, and then we ex any hell that is in our experience outward. Okay? Okay, breathe in. Hold. Release. Breathe in. Hold. Release. Breathe in. Hold. Release. So, unless you have asthma or unless you've dealt with coronavirus, which is a respiratory disease, some people say respiratory disease, we say respiratory disease. Most of us don't think about our breath on a daily basis. And the power in that is that we trust that the Mother, Father, God is going to give us our next breath. None of us wake up asking or questioning whether or not there's going to be enough oxygen for us to breathe in the upcoming day. Okay. That is a wealth consciousness around oxygen. And if you want wealth consciousness around money, you will have to get to a point where you relate to money in the same way that you relate to oxygen. You will have to get to a point where you relate to money in the exact same way that you relate to oxygen. When you wake up, you don't worry about whether or not you're going to have enough. You trust that as a child of the Mother, Father, God, that everything that you need will be provided for you at the right moment in time. Okay. That is true wealth consciousness. It is the high place to get to. And that is what we are seeking to do as we move from poverty consciousness to wealth consciousness on this journey together. Okay. So, is that clear, everybody? Is that clear? Type clear if that is clear. All right. Good, good, good. Beautiful. So moving forward, today we're going to start our series, our 3-part series on Unsecure the Bag or baggage, okay? How to release financial shame and forgive yourself for debt. It will happen between mid-September and mid-October. Actually, it will go to October 11th. On October 4th, we will do our monthly accounting ritual where we evaluate our net cash flow, our net income from the past month, and our net worth, okay? So with that, this is going to be the outline of the series. I've actually reversed the order. We're going to start up with pick up your math and walk, not your mat, pick up your math and walk. Then we're going to go into don't look back. And then we're going to go into forgive us our debts. Okay. So this will be the pattern of the series. Now let's get into it. So Oftentimes on the internet, Instagram, things of that nature, memes, you see this quote, secure the bag, go get that bag, you know what I'm saying? And it's nice and it's cute. And on the financial tip and in your earthly experience, I do want you to secure the bag, right? But oftentimes this is misleading language in terms of what we're supposed to do and how we're actually supposed to relate to money. I looked on the Gucci website, and this is a Gucci bag, okay? This is a Gucci bag. And my question is, how do you buy an ugly old Gucci purse and then have no money to put into it? This Gucci bag costs $2,590, right? This is materialism at its finest. I typically don't wear branded clothes. You don't see any brand on here. Of course, there is a manufacturer and somebody who made it, but I don't wear clothes typically that have somebody else's name on it. Okay. My clothing is if anything, my clothing is God, right? My clothing is walking in this vehicle that I've been given, which is the flesh, and I believe that it is a godly thing. Most people have a negative relationship with their flesh. For a long time, I had a negative relationship with the flesh. But this body that we've been given for our spirits to dwell in here on earth is one of the most divine creations in the entire world. And I do not cover it up with other brands of other individuals and human beings, thinking that those things increase my value. Nike does not increase my value. Gucci does not increase my value. I don't even know what the name is of that other one. YSL, I don't even know what it stands for. It does not increase my value. Okay. In fact, those things depreciate me if I actually am not aware of the value that I have that is within me and that I've been clothed with in this amazing vehicle and instrument that I've been given called my body. Okay. So here in this teaching, we are going to unsecure the baggage. Unsecure the baggage. And that baggage is the emotional baggage. Many people try to solve their financial issues at a financial level. But what I found is that money is actually emotional. Money is stored energy, and it resonates and relates to how we are emoting at a particular time. And so you all know Erykah Badu, right? Erykah Badu, what she say? Bag lady. Bag lady, you gonna hurt your back dragging all them bags like that. I guess nobody ever told you all you must hold on to is you, is you, is you. Okay. One day, all them bags gonna get in your way. One day, all them bags gonna get in your way. I said, one day, all them bags gonna get in your way. One day, all them bags gonna get in your way. So, pack light. Right? So obviously, Erykah was using the metaphor of bags and different types of bags, a paper bag lady, I think the Gucci bag lady, something like that. She was using this metaphor to describe the emotional baggage, in particular that women, but us as human beings carry around with us that we need to release, right? That we need to release in order to move forward and actually create and have the life that we want. Okay, so I have some funny cartoons that I wanted to share with you about emotional baggage and debt bondage. This is emotional baggage on the left. It says, do we have to pay extra? My husband has a lot of emotional baggage. You know, when you go to the airport and now they charge, with the exception of Southwest, now they charge you for checking a bag when they didn't used to, right? And so the woman asking if her husband needs to pay extra for the emotional baggage. And then obviously on the right, we've seen how the American dream has actually put people into debt bondage, which is another form of baggage. When you have student loans, you have medical bills, you have a car note, you have a single family home mortgage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The American dream is really a trap if you are not careful. We're going to talk about that tonight, okay, or today. Now, when I say money is emotional, this is what I mean. When a woman breaks up anywhere on TV or in any movie, what is it shown that she is supposed to do when she breaks up? What is shown that she's supposed to do when she breaks up? Right? It is shown typically that she's supposed to eat, just ice cream and other things to get over or to deal with the emotional challenges that she's facing at that particular moment. Okay. And so this movie and made a mockery of it by giving this woman a huge tub of ice cream to devour, probably because she broke up. I don't even know the movie. Okay. The same thing happens for men. For men, if a man gets divorced, and he's in his 40s or 50s, and he's ready to start over again. What does he go do? He's supposed to go buy a sports car, a red sports car, right? And so this is a funny picture demonstrating that, and even wore the Viking hat to show that now he's rugged and he's out there again, right? So we deal with debt with by making emotional decisions, and we try to address emotional things that end up costing us financially. Okay, we are supposed to be addressing these emotional things head on, but then they end up costing us financially based on some of the decisions that we make. Now, Albert Einstein said this: we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we use to create them. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we use to create them. So if I have a physical problem, how do I actually solve that physical problem? What level do I have to go to if I have a physical problem? If I have a physical problem, how do I solve it? Do I solve it on the physical level? No, I solve it on the mental or emotional level. And if I have a mental and emotional problem, then how do I solve it? If I have a mental or emotional problem, how do I solve it? Correct. So this is the name of the game that we are actually playing. We here are in the physical realm, which is our earthly experience, and then heaven is up here in our spiritual experience. And what we try to do is we try to solve physical problems with physical things, and we try to solve financial problems with financial things. And there are all kinds of teachers out there, amazing teachers, some I consider friends, teaching anything from real estate to wholesaling to stock options to stock market investing to financial literacy and budgeting. I can run off a whole list of people who are teaching specifically financial literacy. But when we fail to address the emotional side of the game, then you can give people all the tactics and techniques that you want, but they won't be able to receive them or execute them because the emotional side has not been addressed. Okay, so we solve physical problems with the mental or emotional level of thinking, and then we solve mental and emotional problems with our spiritual thinking. Okay, so we have to go upward if we want to solve a problem that is downward, and that's what Einstein said. So what is debt? What is debt? Debt is the result of seeking to reap before or more than you've sown, or taking more good than you've given. So debt is the result of seeking to reap before or more than you've sown, or taking more good than you've given. Okay? So there's a scripture in Galatians 6:7 that says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, this he will also reap." Okay? Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, this he will also reap. And so debt, when we are slipped into debt for whatever reason, we are trying to sow before or more than we're trying to reap before or more than we've actually sown, right? We want something like expensive college education, a car, a house, a wedding, whatever. We want a vacation. We want these things before we've actually sown enough good seed and reaped of that good seed in order to pay for it. And so this is what gets us caught up, and this is where we're out of balance with the universal laws. Okay, so if your bank account balance is low, it's because you are out of balance with the universal laws. If your bank account balance is low, it has nothing to do with you. Okay, it's just that you are out of balance in terms of your reaping and your sowing. They aren't together. Okay, your reaping is greater than your sowing, and if you simply want to reap more, then you have to sow more. That is it. It is a formula. It is mathematics. Okay. This is why today we're talking about pick up your math and walk. Pick up your math and walk. Okay. So in this social media environment, we have to be very careful not to compare ourselves with others and try to keep up with the Joneses, because there are a lot of people on social media who are in heaven externally and on Instagram, but they're actually in hell emotionally and economically. They are in heaven externally on Instagram, okay? But they are in hell emotionally and economically. And so I'm not saying that all the people out there with the Mercedes and the Range Rovers and the Corvettes and things like that, I'm not saying that they all are breaking the laws. Some of them have actually put in the work. Some of them have actually sown and now they are actually reaping. But in this social media environment where there's no way to verify if somebody's picture is actually accurate, what you'll notice is that there are people who we can perceive as inhabit externally on Instagram, but actually inhale emotionally and economically. You on Instagram and with your using your two eyes cannot perceive somebody's net worth. You cannot perceive somebody's net worth. You can look at what their lifestyle looks like, but you have no clue what their balance sheet looks like. And a lot of people are out of balance because they're reaping and they're sowing are out of balance. Is this making sense, y'all? Is this making sense? So when you are going through your Instagram feed and things of that nature, it's very important not to be in a space of comparison. And you can actually bless somebody. So if you see somebody in a car that you want, you see somebody buy a new house that you would want something similar, you celebrate them and you celebrate that, okay? We celebrate, we don't compare. We celebrate, we don't compare. We say, wow, that's absolutely amazing. I hope that they were able to afford that house, that they are loving it and enjoying it. I would enjoy something like that myself. So we celebrate when we see those things as a menu of options. I want you to start seeing your Instagram feed and social media just as a menu of options for you to choose from and dissociate who actually has the thing, because sometimes they don't actually have the thing. Sometimes the thing has them, okay? So I need you to dissociate who has the thing. Who posted the picture? Dissociate from that. Just look at it as a particular menu of all the options and possibilities that you have to choose from in this world. Dissociate from who has the thing, because sometimes the thing has them. And that's where debt comes in, is where the thing has them, they don't actually have the thing, right? When we look at the Joseph of Arimathea, right? We look at Joseph of Arimathea, and this is actually really key. Joseph of Arimathea, okay, was the disciple, the rich disciple who gave Jesus the tomb for 3 days. When you hear the word Arimathea, what does it sound like, y'all? What does the word Arimathea sound like? Arimathea. It sounds like arithmetic. Joseph of Arimathea is symbolism for he will add, because Joseph means he will add arithmetic. Remember, this is a book of allegories, y'all, and people have taken it literally. And what's funny is that the people who take the book literally, you won't see that any of them have gouged out their eyes or cut off their right hand, right? Even though the book says it. This is a book of allegories. Jesus specifically says, I speak in parables, okay? And that was what's so powerful about this book, and that's why there's so much wisdom and richness in it. But we have to be able to get beyond the literal level, because most of the stuff is not literal, and you're going to see that when we go into today's particular teaching. So Joseph of Arimathea, he will add arithmetic, right? That Joseph means he will add, was the rich disciple. So this idea of you can't be rich and do God's work is not true. We have an exact example in Joseph of Arimathea, who was able to do that. Now there was also the young rich man who Jesus commanded to give up all of his riches. And what that command was really for was to test if he was possessed by his possessions, or if he was possessed by his possessions. And he was, and he walked away sad. Okay, so there is a way to walk in righteousness and in richness. There is a way to walk in righteousness and in richness. Okay, so let's keep it pushing. So there are 6 emotional causes of debt. The first emotional cause of debt is uncontrolled desire. Okay, this is our eyes are bigger than our work ethic. This is when our eyes are bigger than our work ethic. And this is how some of us get caught up in debt. This is an uncontrolled desire. You weren't able to control the desire inside of you, and you needed something now, okay? Yes, the kingdom of heaven is here and now. It is in the present moment, but we have to have balance, and we have to be able to control some of the desires that are inside of us. The next emotional cause of debt is impatience. We just can't wait for something. We can't wait for it. We see somebody else has it and we need it now. This is why you see long lines for iPhones and things of that nature. People need it now. But if you ask that person before they heard about the new announcement, they didn't need a new phone at that moment. But then they heard the announcement and all of a sudden they need it now and they can't wait. Okay? This is all in all of us. I'm not blaming anybody. All of these same things are in me, and I'm seeking to master every single one of these emotions. The next one is comparison, trying to keep up with the Joneses. We are looking at other people as our measuring stick. We are looking at other people as our measuring stick. And the reality is that it's impossible to compare, and God does not compare its children to each other. Okay? You don't compare your daughter to your son. Okay? You don't compare. When you are truly loving, you don't compare, and we don't have to compare. All we have to do is be who we were created to be. There is no comparison, especially when you're walking in your purpose. How do you compare somebody to somebody walking in their purpose? You can't, because their purpose is unique. So that's all we have to focus on, is walking in our purpose and not comparing ourselves to what other people have. There are purposes on this world that will lead to financial abundance. Okay? I mean, financial, like real, like a lot of money. And there are purposes in the world that may lead to only $60,000. But that is not, the money is not the metric. It's the joy that person is experiencing. It's whether or not that person is feeling like they are in the kingdom of heaven here and now, whether heaven is on earth. That is what matters. That is true wealth. Okay, and the Bible talks about that, not storing up things for yourself that rust or that moths can get into, or that can be stolen. Okay, we have to know the difference between true wealth and material wealth. All right. The other emotional cause of debt is laziness. It's just unwillingness to do the work, or be in alignment with the will. You're just unwilling, and you are not able to, and myself included. Okay, when I say you, I'm speaking about myself. I'm just not willing to do some of the things that are required to have what I want. And when that occurs, we have to look in the mirror and say, I was not willing, or I am not willing, and just admit it. Just admit that I'm not willing, rather than using debt as a way to try to get the thing that we want, but still remaining lazy. Okay. The other one is financial illiteracy. So this is misunderstanding money. And the emotion behind this is feeling stupid, feeling inadequate, feeling unsure. Okay. And those aren't good things to feel. And when we know we don't know how money operates, these are some of the feelings that emerge inside of us. And then finally, it's low self-esteem. Low self-esteem. And low self-esteem, when you feel there is something missing inside of you, what we tend to do is we engage in consumerism, right? And we go buy things to fulfill that void. Okay. Whether it's buying beauty products to fulfill this deep subconscious belief that I'm ugly, whether it is buying some expensive car or some type of expensive shoes to make me feel like I'm Michael Jordan, even though I can't make a jump shot, right? We do these things to compensate for inadequacies that we feel inside. We try to fill these empty feelings inside of us. Okay. And so these are the 6 emotional causes of debt. And this is why it was so important for me to do this series and to share it as widely as possible, because this is the real underlying cause. We cannot just solve debt by acquiring more money. We cannot solve debt by simply acquiring more money if these are the underlying causes, because we have not addressed the root. We have not addressed the root, and we have to cut it off at the root. If you give somebody more money, okay, who is still struggling with these emotional causes of debt, what is more money going to do for them, y'all? What will happen when they get more money? I'll tell you, they will end up in more debt. Biggie said it. More money, more problems. More money, more problems. I was in debt when I was in $50,000. I got a $100,000 raise, and guess what? I increased my debt. And where do you see this demonstrated on a national level? You see it with our country as a whole. The national debt is through the roof. Okay? So more money does not solve the problem, because the problem is inside. It is a mental and emotional thing that we have to solve. Okay? So moving forward, it's right here in the Lord's Prayer in Matthew 6, 9 through 13. So then this is how you should pray: Our Father in heaven. And what did Jesus say? Did he say my Father? Did Jesus say my Father, y'all? No, he said our Father. So what does that mean? Does that mean Jesus is exceptional, or that we are siblings? Does that mean Jesus is special, or does it mean we are siblings? Special or siblings? Type it in the chat. It means that we are siblings. He said it right there. I don't care what John said. This is the only begotten son. John said that. What did Jesus say about himself? What did Jesus say? Okay. He said, our Father, as in yours and mine and his and hers, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done. Where? On earth, our material experience, as it is in heaven, right? Our mental experience. Give us this day our daily bread. What do we call money in the hood? We call it bread. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our what? Our debts. Forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, consumerism, etc., but deliver us from the evil one. Okay? So you see debts and sin and things of that nature are used synonymously throughout the Bible. Okay? And debt is just the financial side of it. Right? Debt is the financial side, or the more financial term than sin. But what does sin mean, y'all? What does sin really mean? What does sin really mean? Sin simply means to miss the mark. It doesn't mean that you've done something wrong that's going to have you in purgatory for the rest of your life. No, it just means that you missed the mark. And we all miss the mark at some points in our life. Jesus overthrew somebody's table. He let their doves fly away. That would be vandalism. Is that not sin? Did he not miss the mark? Was he not able to control his anger in that moment? Yet there's this perception that he was sinless. Come on, y'all. It's right there in the text. It's right there in the text. But again, with confirmation bias, we see what we choose to see. We only see what we choose to see. All right. Jesus was on his own journey in the New Testament. He goes from I and the Father and one to Father, why have thou forsaken me? Right. So he's on his own journey. He wasn't just born on this spiritual high. Okay. He was on his own journey in the Gospels if you read them carefully. All right. So with that, we want to look at the cycle of shame. And I don't know the exact source of this, but I found it online and I thought it was key to us understanding what many of us are going through internally. First, there's shame and guilt, okay, from realizing, wow, I'm in debt, realizing, wow, a newborn has a net worth that's higher than mine. Literally, y'all, there's some of you who are here who are 30s, 40s, in your 50s, 60s, and there are newborns who are just born in the past 10 minutes who have a higher net worth than some of you, okay? And I can only imagine what that makes you feel like in terms of the shame and the guilt of being here on this earth for so long and still having a negative net worth, or not having 5 figures or 6 figures in your bank account, okay? So that kind of can evoke shame and guilt, right? And then from there, we go into secrecy. We go into secrecy. We go into the quiet of our room and we hide. We hide from the fact, we hide from those that are around us, that love us, that we're actually struggling financially. And so we try to uphold this idea and this imagery to other people that is not actually accurate, does not represent what is actually in our bank account. And then we go into isolation. We go into isolation and we try to do it by ourselves. But again, we've been trying to do it by ourselves this entire time, and that hasn't gotten us to the place that we desire. And then we start to separate. But who do we separate from? We separate from those we love, and we also separate from God. We start to separate from God, and then we get a trigger, right? An emotional trigger, and that causes us to act out, which in most cases means to consume. And then the cycle of shame and guilt starts over and over and over again. Okay, so this is what we want to get out of and we want to avoid. And so this is what it looks like financially. The cycle of financial shame is I have shame about the debt that I have, okay, especially the consumer debt. Okay, I have debt, but I have good debt. My debt pays me. Money is cheap right now, okay? At 3%, 4%, money is cheap right now, and I know how to make that money work at 15 to 20%, right, through real estate, okay? So first is shame about particularly consumer debt, high interest rate debt, and then we go into secrecy about money. This is where money conversations in this country are taboo because so many people are actually in debt. Other places, people freely share what they earn and things of that nature, right? There's a lot more open there. But we go into secrecy because we don't want people to know how much debt we actually have, okay? Then we go into isolation, and when we go into isolation, this is where we start getting into online spending, right? We are trying to solve our emotional problems with physical purchases. And then we go into separation, separation from God, and separation from our financial reality. This is why our monthly accounting ritual that we do on the first Sunday of every single month is so difficult for many folks, because they don't want to look at the financial reality that they're in. So we separate, we distance ourselves from it. I don't want to look at my bank account. I don't want to look at my net worth. I don't want to look at my student loans. Okay. Then we go into trigger mode, which is we get triggered when we're denied credit, or denied a credit card, or we don't get a mortgage, or we don't get approved for the desired amount, or whatnot, right? So we're denied, and then from there, what we do is we do the opposite of what we should do, which is then we go act out again. We go act out again, and we go buy something in any other way that we can to try to fill the void, and that only digs the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay, so this is key to understand, and this is a cycle that we are seeking to break. Okay, let me see here, and on vacation. All right, so now I want to share a scripture with you from John 5:1-8. Okay, John 5:1-8. And this is the scripture around pick up your mat and walk. How many of you heard this before? How many of you heard this before? Right? You are going to hear it in a brand new way today. When I talk about I got a divine download, you are going to hear this in a brand new way today. Okay, so I'm going to read it. Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now they're in Jerusalem near the sheep gate, a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here, a great number of disabled people used to lie: the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid or invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." And then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." And at once, the man was cured, and he picked up his mat and walked. Right? So y'all might want to get a pen and paper, because we are about to go in. All right? It's about to go up. We don't say it's about to go down here. We say it's about to go up. So I want to walk you through this particular scripture and what it actually means for you in overcoming your own financial shame, right? So first, we want to start with an acknowledgement of the up and down throughout this scripture. You see it here. Jesus went up. Whenever you see Jesus pray or go to fast or anything like that, you will notice that he is always going up. Where did Moses go? He went up on the mountaintop. You will always see this throughout the Bible. If you do a word search for up, you will see that anytime revelations come, the individual actually goes up. Okay? And so you see this up and down, or Jesus primarily going up, right? And then this invalid, right, going down, right? So where is Jesus going up to? Where is this commanding us to go up to? It's commanding us to go up in our level of consciousness. We are trying to rise in our level of consciousness. I told you before, if we are looking at New York from the first floor of the Empire State Building, we can only see so far. But if we are going up, right, to the top floor of the Empire State Building, then we have a better view of of New York, and actually what are the possibilities in our life. Okay, so when we raise up in consciousness, this is where we reach the awareness that all things are possible, because we have a better view of the reality that we're actually living in. If we're trying to view New York from the first floor of the Empire State Building, despite the fact that it is that tall, but we are on the first floor, then we can't see reality for what it truly is. So we are trying to elevate our consciousness. Jesus always goes up in his consciousness. He lifts the bread, fishes and the bread up and blesses them. Okay, so you're going to see that over and over and over again. Okay, so again, when you reread this text or anything in the Bible, you will start to see that. So we are seeking to elevate in consciousness. Okay, so next, Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the city of peace. Okay, or the place of peace in your mind or in your consciousness. How is it that every one of the names of these cities in the Bible has a meaning behind it, y'all? Because in many cases, while some of them have been attached to historical places, in many cases, these are allegorical places that represent ideas that are within us. What we are navigating in the Bible is our own consciousness and mind. These stories are trying to reveal to us, and this is why it feels so familiar, even if you're not Christian, even if you haven't even read the book, these stories feel familiar because they are archetypal stories and allegories that represent what is actually going on within us. They are already kind of embedded in our DNA, okay? So Jerusalem is the city of peace. When you are in debt, significant consumer debt, you are not in peace. And so Jesus went up to a place of peace within himself, okay? Are y'all with me? Are y'all still with me? Because it's about to go deeper. Y'all still with me? So Jesus went up to Jerusalem, a place of peace, okay? Stop thinking about it as a physical place. Yes, there are some historical things like Jerusalem, like Pontius Pilate, etc., that are weaved into the Bible to kind of make it historical fiction, okay? To try to anchor it in the human experience a little bit, but most of it is allegorical story, all right? So moving forward. Now, let me actually get to the scripture. Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now there's an in Jerusalem near the sheep gate. You won't believe this, y'all. What is the sheep gate? Sheep represent innocent thoughts in our minds. Sheep represent innocent thoughts in our mind. When you go to sleep, when you were younger and you were trying to go to sleep and you had distracting thoughts in your mind, what did you end up counting, y'all? What did you end up counting when you had distracted thoughts and you were trying to go to sleep? You counted sheep. What does sheep symbolize? Innocent thoughts in our minds. The sheep gate is where innocent thoughts enter into your mind. The sheep gate is where innocent thoughts enter into your mind, into your consciousness, into your awareness. Okay? So, moving forward, then what is the pool? In the physical realm, it is considered a baptismal pool. And baptism or a baptismal pool is a place to symbolically wash away sin or iniquity. You think that when people go to get baptized in a pool of water that their sin is washed away right then and there in that moment? Or is the ritual a symbol? The ritual is symbolic. Paul said it, be ye transformed by the renewing of your what? Be ye transformed by the renewing of your what? It is the cleansing and the washing of our minds, of our thoughts, that actually lead us to live a more righteous life that is more in alignment with Christ's consciousness. It is not going and dipping in some water. That is a symbolic ritual, okay? That is a symbolic ritual. So this baptismal pool was a place to symbolically wash away sin or iniquity. But watch this, y'all. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? We're talking about the conscience and mind. Guess what the pool really represents, y'all? The pool is your brain. The brain is 85% water. The pool is your brain. Let that sit there for just a second. Are y'all catching this? The pool is your brain. This is the pool. This is the allegory. This is the parable. All right? Y'all with me? Y'all with me? So let's keep it moving. Bethesda. What does Bethesda mean? Bethesda is the house of mercy or grace, or it means shame or disgrace. Okay? So when we look at the scripture, it says, great pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, okay? And which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. So Bethesda is, so we are juxtaposition, the city of peace, and then house of mercy or grace, or shame or disgrace, Okay, so now we go further into the 5 colonnades. Okay, these are what colonnades look like. Actually, where is it? Colonnades. Colonnades are like the columns that you see in like Greece, right? But guess what the 5 colonnades represent? The 5 covered colonnades, what do you think it represents, y'all? It's the 5 parts of your brain. We just said the pool was the brain, right? This is the same sentence. The 5 colonnades are the 5 parts of your brains, and the brain is covered, right? What is it covered by? It's covered by your skull. Where did Jesus die? In Golgotha, in place of the skull. Where was Jesus crucified? In Golgotha, in place of the skull. Are y'all with me? So the sheep's gate is where innocent thoughts enter into your subconscious mind or your conscious mind. The pool is actually your brain, and the 5 covered colonnades is, again, the 5 parts of your brain, right? So before we go further, I need you to understand what allegory is. Allegory is a story or poem or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one, okay? This is what Jesus used all throughout the Gospels, right? Now, you also need to know the meaning of double entendre. A double entendre is a word or phrase open to 2 interpretations, one of which is usually risque or indecent, okay? A double entendre. So you need to understand what a double entendre is because I'm about to show you one right now. So here, a great number of disabled people used to lie. So disabled people are personifications. Throughout the Bible, everything is personified. The devil is personified. We personify the devil as this red figure who lives in a fiery place with a pitchfork and horns, right? We as human beings, we like to personify things to help us understand them. These disabled people are personified as disabled thoughts, okay? We have these invalid or invalid thoughts in our mind that we need to disable in order to experience Christ consciousness. We have these invalid or invalid thoughts in our minds that we must disable, okay? Or that are disabling us, that are stopping us from achieving Christ consciousness, okay? So watch this. Here's where the double entendre comes. Used to lie, okay? Here are a great number of disabled people used to lie. When you lie, what are you doing, y'all? Here in the scripture, it is perceived as lying down, lying on a mat, right? Here in the scripture is perceived as lying down. But what is the other meaning of lie, y'all? The other meaning of lie is to not tell the truth. It is to not tell the truth about who you truly are and whose you truly are. So this is a double entendre where the writer or the channeler of this particular writing, right, was able to use the wordplay and the double entendre to talk about lying down, was really talking about lying, which is not telling the truth about who you truly are. Because if you truly knew who you were, then you wouldn't be disabled. You wouldn't be an invalid. Okay? So now listen to how it goes on. Blind, lame, and the paralyzed. Blind thoughts. Thoughts where you were just moving out of blindness. And this is how many of us get caught up in debt. We're just like, oh, I'm going to swipe this credit card out of financial blindness. Okay? And then how many of you had some lame thoughts before? How many of you had lame thoughts before? You like, I don't know what I was thinking. Okay? And then a paralyzed thought, right? A paralyzed thought a paralyzed thought is simply a thought that is unmoving. When you're paralyzed, you can't move. A paralyzed thought is a thought that's unmoving. It does not move you. Okay? So, again, the invalid. Like, this is another double entendre. Invalid is a person who is incapable, but it also reads as invalid. Okay? And I think this is the NIV translation. Okay? So, moving forward. Again, when Jesus saw him lying, double entendre, Jesus saw him lying about who he was. In his mind, he was lying about who he was. He was thinking of himself as an invalid. But when you see yourself from Jesus or from Christ consciousness, there's no way that you can be an invalid. When you see yourself as God sees you, you cannot be an invalid. You are not invalid. Okay? Lying also means to dwell somewhere. And so when our thinking dwells in a particular space of negativity, that ends up becoming our experience. Okay? You are perfect, whole, and complete. God made no mistakes on you whatsoever. You may think they're mistakes because when you try to compare yourself to someone else, you're like, oh, look at my hips, they're too big, right? Or man, that person's so smart, and therefore that means that I'm such and such, right? Or that person was born into privilege and I wasn't. You were made perfect, whole, and complete. You have everything inside of you that you need to be who you were meant to be. You weren't meant to be them. They needed to be born into that privilege or whatever in order to do what they are meant to do. The question is, will they still do what they're meant to do, or will they get caught up in the privilege? Will they use it in the wrong way? Okay? So again, here you see the lying, and this is the invalid lying about himself and who he truly is. Because the truth is, he's not invalid. He's not an invalid. He's not invalid. Okay? So moving on. Do you want to get well? You know what this is, y'all? This is implying, what does this question imply? Coming from Christ consciousness, coming from Jesus consciousness, okay? Coming from Christ consciousness, this is implying that when you hear how this question is asked, it's implying that you are already well. The only thing that's stopping you from being well is whether or not you actually want to be well. Because the payoff that you are receiving from the empathy of others and the laziness that you get to engage in is perhaps greater for you than you actually just stepping into your wellness. The payoff from the empathy and the sorrow that you get, oh, that's okay, baby. That's okay, baby. You know, some kids will fake getting hurt just to have their parents come console them for a moment. Some kids will play as if they're hurt just to have mommy or daddy come console them in a moment, when in fact they are perfectly well. We do the exact same things as adults. We play like we're hurt. We play like we're victims. We play like somebody did something to us so that we can be consoled by Mother, Father, God, and by other people. And the payoff from having other people console us and empathize with us is sometimes greater than us just standing back in our power. Okay? So this question of, do you want to get well? I want to flip it on its head for all of you who are here, because this is Financial Church. My question is to you is, do you want to get wealthy? Do you want to get wealthy? Wealthy? Do you want to get wealthy? Or do you want to keep telling this invalid, lying victim story about who you are for the rest of your life? You can do that if you want, but your experience of this earthly experience will be a hell for you. So the question is, do you want to get wealthy? Or are you going to continue to complain about racism, sexism, the white man, corporate America, my job, my boss, my customers, my clients, Facebook, Instagram, they won't do this, they won't do that? Are you going to continue to complain and make up these lies that are actually invalid? Or are you just going to stand in the wealth that is your birthright? Same question that is posed to this invalid, who's actually not an invalid, is being posed to you right now. Okay? So as we go forward to the water being stirred, we know that we're talking about the brain. And when something is stirred, it is active, it is in motion. And when the brain is stirred, right, that means that the neurons are firing and that you are finally starting to think. Most of us aren't thinking. We've been programmed in such a way that 95% of our life is actually on automatic, and only 5% of the time we actually think, okay? And so when something is stirred in the brain, that is called an epiphany, okay? And when you get epiphanies, you know what epiphanies originally do to you, yo? Epiphanies originally trouble you. Why do epiphanies trouble you? Why do epiphanies trouble you? When you get an aha moment, a lightning bolt moment, an insight, why do epiphanies trouble us, y'all? Because what is revealed, right? Because the lies that you have been believing, you realize get wiped away just like that. You know the epiphany is true, and now you also know that the lies that you've been telling are not true. Okay? Again, it says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Look what epiphany means. And I didn't even know this until I looked it up. Epiphany, the manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles, which are non-Jews, as represented by the Magi, the festival commemorating Epiphany, the manifestation of a divine supernatural being, Epiphany, a moment of sudden revelation or insight. When something new is revealed to you and you have an epiphany, your mind is being stirred. Initially, it is troubled. Initially, you might have a headache because you're like, oh my goodness, for the past 40 years, I've been believing this, and this aha moment, this epiphany just dropped in on me, and now my waters are troubled. My waters are now troubled. Okay? And I'm afraid to go down into the water because I know that it will wipe away this belief that I was anchored in for the past 40, 50, 30 years, however long you've been alive. And most of us want to hold on to the old instead of stepping to the new. It's more comfortable, it's more familiar, even though we're experiencing hell there. You cannot pour new wine into old wineskins or else they will burst. Some of you want to hold on to the old wineskins that you've been living in while having new wine poured into you, and it will not work. It will not work. Okay? So, moving forward, your mat. What does the mat represent? The mat is your excuses. The mat is your excuses. Okay? It's excuses you've been resting on, that you've been lying on, that have lied to you. Your mat is the excuses you've been resting on or lying on that have lied to you about who you truly are. You are not poor. You're not broke. You're not inadequate. You're not dumb. You're not ugly. Okay? You're none of that. You are perfect, whole, and complete. But these are lies that you've accepted, right? And now that you are lying on and resting on and have become the foundation. And again, it is done unto you as you believe. So pick up your mat and walk. Walking is moving in understanding. We already know that from this teaching that when Jesus washed his disciples' feet, what was he washing? He was washing their understanding. So now if we are walking, we are actually now moving in that understanding. We're not just sitting here and saying, oh, I understand. We are now walking or moving in that understanding. When Jesus walked on water, it was an allegory for overcoming and mastering the unsettling and unpredictable emotions within man. It wasn't just some miracle. Oh, he just walked on water. What does that really mean? It means that it was an allegory of him overcoming and mastering the unsettling and unpredictable emotions within man. That's what that allegory is really all about. While everybody else was unsettled and was emotional in the boat, he came and he walked on water. I have mastered my emotions. I don't let the unsettled, unpredictable emotions that are naturally within man stop me. This is the demonstration that is occurring. Okay? So, you are not invalid. And it's time to pick up your math and walk. It's time to pick up your math and walk. This is financial church. And so we're going to move into that in just a second. Your bank balance does not equal your true net worth. It represents who you were and what you knew or didn't know years ago. Okay? So all we can do is plant new seeds today. You look at your bank balance and you see it as, oh, this is who I am today. No, your bank balance is reflective of who you were in the past, who you were and what you knew and what you didn't know. Your bank balance means that there was an imbalance between your reaping and your sowing. You were trying to reap more than you sowed. Or hopefully some of you here have actually sowed and are now reaping abundantly as a result of it. Okay, that's all your bank balance really reflects, but it's the seeds that you sowed in the past. So rather than thinking about the past, all we can do is move forward and plant, not even move forward, right here and right now, plant new seeds today. Sow new seeds today. Okay, there you go. I'm getting in balance. That's what I'm talking about. So this whole system that we're living in, why it exists in the way that it exists, I don't know. But this whole system has been built up. I don't want to say against you, because I believe that life is happening for me. I don't believe that life is happening against me. Okay. But there are some obstacles that are out there. If you can't see through them with your third eye or your first eye, there are some obstacles that will lead you astray. Here are a whole bunch of invalid thoughts financially. Cash is king. The hardest worker wins. The highest paid person wins. Money is the root of all evil. Salary is security. The salary is income. More money, more problems. You need a fortune to be free. Pick yourself up by your own bootstraps. All of these, y'all, are invalid thoughts that we are programmed with and then therefore build our life upon. You want to know how I know? Watch this, y'all. Cash is not king. Cash is pawn. Assets are queens and cash flow is king. The hardest worker doesn't win. If the hardest worker won, then day laborers will be the wealthiest people in the United States. The hardest worker doesn't win, but the winner does work hard. He who hardly works is the person who actually wins. It's almost the opposite. The hardest worker doesn't win. It's he who hardly works that wins. It's almost the exact opposite, y'all. The highest paid person wins. Nope. You actually want to know who wins? It's the person who needs the least. The person who needs the least in order to be free is actually the one who wins, not the highest paid person. Money is the root of all evil. It does not say that. Okay, it says love of money is the root of all evil. When you make money your God, that is when it becomes evil. Salary is security. No, it's not. A salary is actually slavery, because once you're on salary, now they can work you 60, 70, 80 hours, and you're still not getting paid more. Your salary is income. No, your salary is not income. Your salary is actually revenue. All right, Zoom, we back. All right, let's see. Zoom, we back. I have no clue what happened. Spitting a little too much truth. Spitting a little too much truth. Big brother watching. Brother Jesus, and then there's Big Brother. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Big brother watching. Other big brother. No, we good. We're going to keep it pushing. Okay? The truth will set you free. So guess what? I'm going to set the truth free. The truth shall set you free. Then I'm going to set the truth free. This thing cut off 3 more times. I'm coming right back until this message is out. Y'all with me? Cool. All right. So let's get back into it. Let me share my screen. All right. So where did you last hear me? I was saying that for those of you who are sensing financial shame, it is not your fault because you did not know. It is not your fault because you did not know. But as of today, you now know. And you will be held accountable for everything you know going forward. But sometimes, you know what? I'm just trying to get the information out there so that you cannot say you didn't know. So that you can't say you didn't know anymore. Oh, Julian, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that cash is not. Nope. You know now. I know you were here. You know you were here. And so you can't walk around acting out of an alignment and having an imbalance and pretending like you didn't know, because now you know. Okay? So again, the truth shall set you free. So what I'm here to do is I'm here to set the truth free. I'm here to set the truth free so that it can set you free. All right? So you must pick up your math and walk. Okay? You must pick up your math and walk. Now, I know in high school, some of y'all hated math. Why? Because they gave us stupid things like calculus. Stupid things. Only a certain group of people need to know calculus, but they give you this math that is irrelevant to your life success, okay? And now you think you're bad at math. Guess what? You didn't need to know calculus. Most of y'all, unless you were an engineer or something like that, most of y'all didn't need to know calculus. What you needed to know was math for millionaires or millionaire math. You didn't need a TI-83 calculator. Math for millionaires, most of it can be done on that old school blue calculator. Most of the math that you need in order to be a millionaire can actually be done on your phone's calculator. You didn't need that graphing calculator for the math to become wealthy, all right? And so whatever grade you got in math back in the day, it's irrelevant. That's the past. And the past has no power over you, okay? So we want to get into the real math that matters, because it's not this. How many of y'all remember PEMDAS? How many of y'all remember PEMDAS? You remember that? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. That was the order of operations when you were doing equation. Guess what? That's not the pathway to wealth. The real order of operations when it comes to wealth is a little bit different. It's SDAME. It almost met the acronym for shame. I've had this framework for quite some time. It almost met the acronym for shame if the D was an H, right? I guess divide, you could say half. When you have something, you're dividing it, right? So then it would be shame. But we're not gonna force something, okay? So watch this. The real order of operation for building wealth is subtract, divide, add, multiply, and exponent. Is subtract, divide, add, multiply, and exponent, right? And I'm gonna walk you through it, okay? So when we are subtracting, we're reducing our expenses by downsizing and releasing nice to haves for now, okay? Okay, creep up with the Jeffersons. We wanna creep up with the Jeffersons, not trying to keep up with the Joneses, okay? The Jeffersons, they were known on TV as being broke. We wanna creep up. We wanna keep our cost of living low, okay? We're not trying to keep up with the Joneses who are actually in debt, right? We want to downsize. Don't live on your own until you own something, okay? House huddling. I drove a Honda Accord. I drove a 2000 Honda Accord till 2018, y'all. I drove a 2000 Honda Accord until 2018. Some of y'all had nicer houses and nicer cars than me. I didn't get a new car until I had how many multifamily doors? I didn't get a new car until I had 10 doors, till I owned 10 apartments. Y'all had nicer 4-door cars than me while I was working on getting 10 apartment doors, which then pay for the 4 doors and more, and a lot more. Probably like 2 apartment doors pay for the 4 doors that I ended up getting. Okay, so I'm just giving you an example. I had a roommate until my 30s. I had a roommate. I've never lived on my own, y'all. I never lived on my own. Okay, eating out. A lot of you using Uber Eats and things of that nature in this COVID environment. All right, cheap breakfast. One of the meals that people spend unnecessarily amount of money on is breakfast. Okay, you can go cheap on breakfast. Like when I was working, I would go cheap on breakfast, and then I would go like big on lunch, so much that it had leftovers that bled into dinner. Okay, so there's ways around that. And then some of you are on some of these subscriptions, $10 a month, $20 a month subscriptions, magazines, online things. Get them off if you're not using them. Okay. Next is divide. You want to do zero-based budgeting, meaning that you know where every dollar that comes into your household is going out to. okay? That you detach your savings account from your checking account, because if all the money is in the same place, then all of a sudden you're seeing it. So again, if you have food in the fridge and you're not hungry, what do y'all do? If you have food in the fridge and you're not hungry, what do? You still eating. Why? Because you see it. Because you see it. So when you're really trying to save, you actually want your savings account to be in a separate bank and have the money that's coming into your checking account automatically go there where you can't even see it. Because once it's out of sight, it is out of mind. Okay. A good app for that is called YNAB. Okay. And then when you do want to have fun, then anytime you want to have fun, let's say you want to go on a $500 weekend trip, make sure that you also plant a $500 seed, okay, to match it for your future wealth. So now you're putting $1,000 out. You're not just putting an expense out, you're actually matching it by growing something for the future. So if I'm going to use a tree today for paper, I'm also going to plant a tree today for future paper, okay? This is called balance, reaping and sowing, right? Next is adding, okay? You add a good paying job, because some of you got some pretty bad paying jobs, overtime or moonlight, side hustle, okay? A side hustle as a skill or a service, side hustle as a product, Airbnb, dividend paying stocks, whatever you can do to add to your income is the addition part, okay? Then from there, you want to multiply. This is where you're starting to become an investor, okay? This is full-time entrepreneurship. This is real growth-based stocks where you're taking a little bit of risk, multifamily homes, appreciation and monthly income, franchises, maximum cash value, whole life insurance where you can borrow against yourself in a strategic way, okay? And then this is where the wealthy really play. This is venture capital. This is early stage ventures. I made my first early stage venture investment this past month, and I'll see. It's risky, but I'll see. All right, but this is where wealth is really made. Okay, and then the need to network or net worth to even be in those conversations and or make those kind of deals. So a lot of y'all might have had $25,000 to invest in Uber. Okay, just like Gary Vee and Beyonce and other people, but you just didn't have access to that table. So we have to network and build relationships upward, okay? Not upward in terms of their value over you, but we have to build new relationships in order to have access to those deals, which you could have had money to invest in, but you just didn't have access to the table. With this exponential side, this requires networking, not just you having a lot of money, okay? So that's what it means to pick up your math and walk. It's time for you to elevate your math for millionaires. It's time for you to elevate those things, right? Because if you do those things now, then I guarantee you over the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years, you will see that your life starts to change. You will see that your financial life starts to change as a result of you picking up your math and walking. I'm not talking calculus. I'm not even talking algebra, okay? I'm talking some basic things that you can do in your life right now that I just gave you that will lead to a better financial life for you, more experience of heaven here on earth. All right. So as we bring this session down to earth, I want you to choose one of the areas: subtract, divide, add, multiply, or exponent. And I want you to type in 1 or 2 things you commit to doing. 1 or 2 things you commit to doing. Type your area first that you're going to focus on. Okay. We're not focusing on them all. Okay. This is how we do nothing. I want you to pick 1 area that you're going to focus on and 2 things that you're going to do in that area. The budgeting app was YNAB, Y-N-A-B, Y-N-A-B. And I have something special to share with you all in just a second. If you're joining us on Instagram, you want to come over to juliangordon.com/TFC so that you can see everything. I'm glad you're here. I got something to share with you on my screen in just a second, so come on over. You are going to be blown away by what happened this past week, y'all. I'm gonna share that with you in just a second. So what area? Lisa's gonna make 1 investment this month. Lisa is also gonna do zero-based budgeting. Teresa's gonna add a side hustle. Cynthia's focused on subtracting and multiplying. Cynthia, pick 1. Mina's going to subtract and do budgeting. Diane is going to divide, detach from IT's, detach, I think, savings and checking. Michelle's focused on adding income. Percy, dividend stock. Angelica, adding a side hustle. Justin, subtract, eliminate unneeded expenses. Tracy, I will submit part due, past due invoices. Good. John is going, what's going on, John? Get more side hustles. Just choose one. Side hustles don't have to be plural, y'all. Okay. So a lot of people are going to be adding a side hustle or trying to subtract and do zero-based budgeting. So this is good. This is good, y'all. All right. So with that, I want to wrap up, and I want to share our affirmation. All right. I'm going to read it the first time, and then I want you to read it with me next, and then I have something to share with you in just a second. So this is our affirmation. I forgive me of all my debts. I forgive me of all my debts. Every financial debt, every time I missed the mark or fell short, and every unsuccess. It is water under the bridge. The past has no power over me. I'm simply reaping what the old me sowed. I didn't sow. But the new me is back in alignment with the universal law of giving and receiving, for God is not mocked. To escape any financial wilderness or wildness I may find myself in, I simply have to balance what I sow according to what I reap. The more I hold myself accountable and am in emotional and financial balance, the higher my bank balance will ultimately be. I'm emotionally debt free here and now. All right. So I want you to read this with me. All right. 1, 2, 3. I forgive me of all my debts, every financial debt, every time I missed the mark or fell short, and every unsuccess. It is water under the bridge. The past has no power over me. I am simply reaping what the old me sowed or didn't sow. But the new me is back in alignment with the universal law of giving and receiving, for God is not mocked. To escape any financial wilderness or wildness I may find myself in, I simply have to balance what I sow according to what I reap. The more I hold myself accountable and in emotional and financial balance, the higher my bank account balance will ultimately be. I am emotionally debt free here and now. Ashe, amen, and so it is. Right? So let me share. Let me share with you something really powerful that happened in this past week. Um, we're shifting in to our time for giving, and for those of you who are new, we give different here. This is not for a building fund. This is not for my private jet or my foreign car. My foreign car is a Honda Accord, y'all. No Ferraris. And in fact, I take no money from this ministry whatsoever. This is actually my way, one of my ways of tithing. I spend about a full day every week to prepare for this time, this 1 hour and a half space with you. So this is my way of tithing and giving of my talents, okay? This is one way of giving of my talents to you all. So none of this comes to me whatsoever. We believe that giving is a financial practice, right? And we give about $800 a week away to nonprofits. So this is how we believe churches should give: is we receive money and we actually give it out. This is not going into some bank account and just sitting there and doing nothing. We receive and we give it out within 48 hours. On Monday, I typically give out to the nonprofits that we select right here and right now. This is how we think giving should occur within the church. Now, since 4/12, when we started this, we've given $13,000 away just this year alone. And right now our account balance is $4,714. What I wanted to show you all, which is absolutely remarkable, is watch this. Watch this. What I wanted to show you all is, look at this, y'all. Look at this. Last week, we ended last week at $3,018. Look at our account. We gave away $1,000 last week. Look what our account balance is today, y'all. $4,719. These principles that I'm teaching you, you are seeing them manifest for us together as a collective through the Faith Fund. The more we give, the more this fund keeps growing. It seems counterintuitive. It seems backwards. It seems that it doesn't make sense. This is how the universal law works. we got some of our biggest contributions ever in the past week. And what's interesting is that we got them on like Thursday, we got them on like Saturday. Like, people are thinking about this ministry, not even just on Sunday. And so this is absolutely amazing. And so this week we're actually going to be giving more because we received more. It's that simple. This is how we operate. The other thing that I want you all to be aware of, and if you're new, you can use my Cash App at Julian Gordon, or Venmo at Julian Gordon. But the other thing I want you to make you aware of is I've been tipping generously over the past week. I don't know if you saw my Instagram post about Tip the Balance Challenge. I've been tipping generously. And so this abundance that we are receiving right now, I'm not attributing it all to me, but I'm just saying that I've been tipping generously and I've seen it come back indirectly or directly to me through examples like this. Okay. I know that here the service workers in New Orleans probably are having major challenges. Okay. Major challenges. And so in order to honor them for providing food for me and things of that nature, I've been tipping very generously. And as a result, I haven't been tipping to get something back, but even though I didn't have intention to get something back, universal law just says this is how it works, Julian. If you give freely in this way, then it comes back to you. Okay. And again, it's not coming back to me directly. It's going to the faith fund within, which then goes to nonprofits that we are going to choose right here and right now. So again, that is Venmo or PayPal, Venmo or Cash App at Julian Gordon, Jullien Gordon, Jullien Gordon, Gordon. And what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go into chat and we're going to select the nonprofits we are going to be giving to this week. We're going to select the nonprofit that we'll be giving to this week. So go ahead and let me know in chat, who should we give to this week? This is how giving should work. Yeah, we're not trying to create some fund and then say, oh yeah, we've been taking this money and it's just sitting there. No, we transmute energy. We put it towards ideals, ideas, individuals, and institutions that we believe in are doing good or God's work. So I got one from Heather. What's going on, Heather? It's been a long time. Missed you. I hope you're well. Got the Royalty Project from Heather. I think Michelle already got the Freedom Academy, I believe, last week or in the past week. Catherine, we were giving to individuals in the past, but we found that it's just easier to give to nonprofits. If we were in physical community together, I would happily give to individuals in this way, but we found that in this environment, it's just easier to give to nonprofits. Okay. Come on, y'all. Let's do this week. We're going to do, because we received so much in the past week, we're going to do 250. We're going to do 1,500 this week, right? We're going to do 1,500 this week. All right, come on, y'all. I need some organizations. I need the URLs, Cheryl. I need the URLs. URLs. Food, employment, human trafficking, entrepreneurship. I need URLs, y'all. URLs, please. Food banks. Ozioma, if you have somebody's PayPal, yes. Okay. Homies empowerment. Got you. Gyms. I think we did gyms before, maybe not. I'll double check. Hope for youth. Caleb, can you please let me know what that organization? Oh, Fayetteville People's Kitchen. Okay, that's fine. I'll PayPal them. And then Stand Together volunteers from Ermel. All right, one more backup one. All right, cool. All right, so we got 6 nonprofits that we are giving to this week. $250. I got some backup ones for future as well. So we're giving away $1,500 this week. Remember, when we started this, y'all, we were only giving away $300. We started doing $300. That was our first giveaway. Then we did $159. Then we got 300. Then we did the 400. Then we got to 400. Now we're all the way up to giving $1,500 away a week, circulating money in this way. And it is absolutely powerful. I did I want to show you everything, y'all. Thefinancialchurch.com. This is where the replays will be, but I also want you to know that you have access to this Google document. This is 100% transparency, y'all. This is how we think spiritual spaces should operate. And so if you scroll down, thefinancialchurch.com, one, you're going to see all the replays. The replay from today will be here, okay? But if you scroll down, you can come see Faith Fund right here. And to see all of our donations, this links to this spreadsheet. So you can come see and make sure that yours is being counted. Again, I'm getting them via Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. So they get manually entered here, but you can see the every transaction that we've done, okay, and verify it. This is how we believe giving should occur in spiritual spaces, and it's been really rewarding for us to collectively demonstrate. We've collected over about $18,000. We've given, by the time I distribute to these nonprofits, we'll have given about $15,000. Our goal is not for this fund to just be a big fund. Anything we receive, we try to give it back out and circulate it to do good or God's work in the world. So I appreciate you all for being part of this. But again, giving is a spiritual practice. Giving is a spiritual practice, and this is just one way that you can give. I mean, literally, we have a brother who is now using this as his form of tithing. He's using this as his form of tithing, and that's just like absolutely amazing. And I'm not asking you to tithe in that way. We already did the teaching on tithing and how tithing as we know it is not actually necessary in today's reality. And we only tithe once we have the abundance to tithe in that way. So I'm not asking you to tithe, but you give at the level that makes your heart feel good. We are focused on participation. So we want everybody to participate. And if that just means $1 for you, even if $1 is your access to the feeling of, oh, I have enough. I have enough. If it's just $1 for you, that is more powerful than not giving. Okay. But this is no persuasion. This is no pressure whatsoever. This is giving at the level that feels good for you. But we value participation over the actual amount. And that's how we perceive giving here. Whatever is going to activate you into recognizing the abundance that is already with you and around you, that's what you should give. All right. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and one last thing. With that, that concludes today. And what we'll do is this is a 3-part series. So next week we are going to be getting into what's next week? Next week, I said it. Next week we're going to be getting into, come on, Don't Look Back. We're going to go into Don't Look Back, okay? Releasing the past, and then we're going to go into our monthly accounting ritual where we evaluate our net income and our net worth every single month, and then we will go into the last part of this series on Unsecure the Baggage, which is Forgive Us Our Debts. Forgive us our debts. So with that, I want to say thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I wish you an amazing, amazing week. Please try out the Tip the Balance Challenge, meaning that when you go to, hopefully it's not McDonald's, okay? But if it is McDonald's or something like that and you pay $7, no, McDonald's doesn't do tips. So if you go to like a sandwich shop, like the mom and pop shop, and there's a room for tip and you paid $8 for your sandwich, try tipping $8. Try tipping $8 and just see what occurs for you in your life as a result of doing that. Again, don't tip with the intention of getting something back immediately or anything like that, but see how it makes you feel and see how it helps you recognize the abundance that is already within you and around you. All right. So with that, I'm going to call it a day. Again, for those of you in the multifamily movement, I will talk to you in a few hours, and I wish you all well and wealth. Much love, y'all. Peace.